All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new movie review. And today I am reviewing Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Now, this is one of my more anticipated films of the summer. And man, it is jam-packed this month. We still have The Flash. We still have Indiana Jones and several other films. It's going to be a crazy June. That is for sure. But I was eager to see this movie because, oh my gosh, Unicron. Yes, Unicron. If you're a child of the 80s like I am, you know who Unicron is, and this is the first time we get to see him outside of the original Transformers, cartoon movie. This is the first time we get to see this character. So let's talk about this movie. I'm first going to talk a little bit about the cast. I'm going to talk a little bit about the story. I'm going to talk a little bit about the music, what works and what doesn't. And I will not be spoiling anything here for you today. So this will be a spoiler-free review. I know some people said my Flash review had a few spoilers in it. I couldn't help it. This will not have any spoilers in it. So let's talk about this film. First of all, I want to talk about the human characters. Now, this movie was plagued with the same problem that it seems like every single Transformers movie has as an issue. The human characters. Not that they were bad in this movie, but there was too much of them and not enough of the robots. First of all, we have Anthony Ramos, who played Noah Diaz. He is the main star of this film, and he did a phenomenal job in his role. We've seen in the trailer the sequence where he is in Mirage, the Porsche, and he's riding down the highway, stuck in the car, and the police are after him. I think he acts like a real person would act in those situations. I don't think it was overacted. I will tell you that the humans did not overact as much in this film as we've had in past films. I mean, if you go back and you watch performances by what's-his-name from the first film, the one who went off the deep end, he was definitely out there, so was the girl. They're not like that in this. They're more grounded. They're not totally grounded, but they're more grounded. You have Dominique Fishback, who plays Elena Wallace. She kind of deals with artifacts at a museum. They get tied up into the story that has to do with both the Autobots and also with Beast Wars. And she kind of unlocks what kind of kicks off the story here. But that whole thing doesn't happen until about a half an hour into the film. And then you have a young character in this, Chris Diaz. He plays Noah Diaz's brother, and he's a sick individual in this film. And, his brother, Noah, is just trying to find a way to get him the care he needs, and he doesn't have the money. So he goes to do something with one of the characters, and this is how he gets mixed up with the Transformers. And this young character was played by Dean Scott Vasquez, and he did a phenomenal job in his role. I hope he's going to be an upcoming actor, and I'm going to be eager to see him in some other stuff because most child actors are super annoying in movies, and he was not. Now, the story for this was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. They did a really good job with the story in this. It's a very well thought out story. This is a direct sequel to Bumblebee, but this one is not in the 80s. It takes place in 1994. And in this particular film, you see that the Autobots are still trying to find a way home. And this movie gives them a way to possibly get home, which creates kind of a conflict between the Beast Transformers, and I forget what you call them, the Maximals or whatever they're called. That was beyond me. I never watched those cartoons when I got older. I'm only familiar with the original. And so I wasn't familiar with the characters in this particular movie, but there is a conflict because of what they're each trying to, the humans, the Autobots, as well as the Maximals are trying to achieve, and it creates some interesting conflict in there. Now, the music, I want to talk about the music here real quick. The music was the thing that bothered me the most in this film. I miss Steve Jablonsky's Amazing score from the first film that they carried through most of the films. I don't think it was in Bumblebee, but this movie really needed Steve Jablonsky to really raise it to another level. I mean, I'm knocking this down a whole entire star because of the music. It was just so generic, and there were moments that should have been much more emotional and could have been emotional if the music had been there. And the music just wasn't there. The music is what I call serviceable, meaning it plays but does not have an emotional impact, and you don't really care for it, but you don't hate it. It's in between. It's serviceable. That was my biggest disappointment with this film. Now, there is a point towards the end of the film in the third act where this kind of jumps the shark with one of the characters. There's a whole sequence that happens where I rolled my eyes. I just rolled my eyes. But that part kind of redeems itself with the very last scene. And you do need to stick around because as soon as the credits start, there is a post-credit scene that starts within like 30 seconds of the credits coming up that you need to stick around for. There was a rumor I saw on the internet, and I'm not going to give it away, but there's a rumor I saw on the internet that I thought was complete BS until the final scene in this film. And if it's true, fans of the 80s are going to have something special to watch coming up very, very soon. And I think this movie pretty much confirmed that. So that quick, well, it's not a quick scene, but that post-credit scene is something pretty cool, in my opinion. So fans of the 80s can rejoice in being catered to here in the near future. So at the end of the day, let's talk about what I give this score. Now, I'm going to talk about how I rank it as far as Transformers movies and what my final score is on this. So as far as Transformers movies go, I really like the first one. And I'm not talking about the 80s cartoon. I'm talking in the live action here. So the first one that got released, I really liked that one a lot. It was really well done. I think some of the actors, the human actors were overdone, but Steve Jablonsky's score with the look of the Transformers, Peter Cullen back as Optimus Prime. Man, I'm telling you, that anytime he comes on the screen, it makes me smile. Being a voice actor, Peter Cullen is one of the biggest impacts. One of the biggest. He's probably had the biggest impact on me becoming a voice actor. I can't tell you how it gives me chills every time I hear this guy's talk. Now, the unfortunate thing is in this particular film, his performance, you can tell he's getting older and he's having a harder time staying in that right tone as Optimus Prime. And it was sad to hear. I'm glad he's back, and I hope we get to see more with him in the future. But as far as I rank this, I like the first movie a lot. I would put Bumblebee second. I would put this film third, and then all the other ones would trail after. 2 was probably one of the worst. 3 was pretty decent. And I can't remember 4 or 5 that much. The one with Wahlberg, I think, was completely forgettable. Although there's a funny reference to that in this film, which is pretty funny. There's a couple of funny things in the movie that were funny, and a couple of moments where you're going to roll your eyes. So I will tell you that my wife, and especially my 2 kids that I brought, my 16 and 18-year-old, they loved it. They thought this movie was great. One of them said they teared up during the movie. And you get to see some pretty cool scenes with Bumblebee, with Optimus Prime, with Ron Perlman plays the gorilla Maximal in the film. So we get some pretty cool performances. So at the end of the day, I give this movie a solid 3.5 stars. I can't give it more. I think if the jump the shark moment at the end wasn't in there and they would have had better music, I would have bumped it up to about a 4.5. But those things really, my gosh, you had all the parts were there, but it was missing that music. I'm telling you, the music was sorely missed. All right, so there's my review at the end of the day. If you guys have seen it, what did you think? If you're a Transformers fan, I think it's definitely worth seeing, but don't get your hopes up too high because honestly, I don't want to get into spoilers here, so if you don't want to know anything at all, you can log off now. But one of my big disappointments in the film was that Unicron was not in the movie for very long. It really didn't have as much as an impact on the film as I was hoping for. They hyped it up in the trailers, and I was really hoping for something big, and it just wasn't there, and that was a shame. So there is a reference at the end of the movie, and hopefully they'll make up for that in future installments, but for now, this is what we get, and it is a serviceable film. Again, 3.5 stars. All right, appreciate it. We'll see you on the next review.